Alrighty guys, so what I'm gonna do is take you into Keepa and show you how I weigh my worst case scenario. And I have two instances. One, when it's just an everyday product I'm buying for the first time, and two, when a product is currently out of stock, so I would be the only seller and I'm trying to predict and weigh my best and worst case scenario. And so it's pretty simple, but before I do that, I just want to talk about theory a little bit, right? When it comes to worst case scenario, for me, there's a ratio. I don't have like an actual number per se, but basically the risk reward on any of my purchases has to make sense. So here's like a good example. If I can buy a product for $50, and if everything goes right, like the seller count doesn't increase, I sell it for the highest it's ever sold for, then I can make $10 profit, like 20% ROI. That's the best thing that could happen. But if I look at this, which I'm going to show you my worst case scenario, and if I get it wrong and I lose $20, well, I hate that ratio. When my best case is making $10 profit and my worst case is losing $20 profit, I don't like that ratio. Contrarily, if my best case is spend $50, make $50 profit, 100% ROI, and my worst case is lose $10, well, that's more of a ratio that I'm willing to take. And by the way, you're not just doing this blindly, you're weighing into it. What's the seller count look like? Is there supply and demand issues that I'm aware of? You're still painting a picture. You're not just throwing darts against the wall, but I want to share with you because I pretty much do this on every purchase, okay? So here I just have this product from Rainbow Light, this 2-pack, right? Let's start off here at the 3-month snapshot. Current day buy box is $50. So let's just say I found it today and and it made sense for me to buy this at $50, okay? Now let's just say that I know this item's been in and out of stock, which it has been, and I know there's been an influx coming in. So if a lot of other sellers hop on this listing, what can be my worst case scenario? So what I would do is take this and I would span it out to a year. And now what I'm gonna do is look for the lowest buy box or sale price ever of this year. And it looks to be right here around $32, it looks like. So like right here, $32. And by the way, the lowest price it ever sells for typically coincides when there's the most amount of sellers. So here there were 7 sellers that sold for 32. Here's a high point in sellers as well. There was 10, it sold for 37. So in my mind, if I make this purchase, my worst case scenario is that this would sell for $32. So if I'm okay with it selling for $32, then I'm certainly okay with this purchase. And by the way, when it comes to making purchases, I don't always just buy products just to hit an ROI. Sometimes it could be a new brand, a new looking chart, and I just want to get data. And if I know that my worst case scenario puts me in a position that I'm breaking even, or I lose $1 or I make $1, then to me I'm totally cool with that. Get some cashback money and get the experience, right? Now I'm going to zoom it out to all, way more than a year, and you can see if we go way back it is sold for $21. But the reason I don't really care for this is because with inflation and things like that, we're looking at 2015 and now we're in 2024, right? 9 years, that price point is irrelevant. We used to get a lot of things for a lot cheaper. There's way more sellers, prices have gone up drastically, so I think a year is the perfect amount of realistic, unless something is just way off, but this is a pretty normal looking chart. And so if you're hoping, once again, current buy box is 50, I wouldn't weigh my best case scenario here of 72 because that happened, by the way, while we're here, I'll teach you, or at least share my thoughts, maybe not teach you. When products are in and out of stock, you can typically command a premium, and that's what happened. There was a decreasing seller count, and went out of stock here, it went out of stock here, here. So those people, but now it's clearly back in stock, and it might go upward, and that's why you do have to weigh worst case scenario. And now let me go to an out of stock item. So this is a Starbucks product, 3-month snapshot. Nothing in the last 3 months, okay? So I don't even know what my best case is at this point. Then I can span it out. It hasn't been in stock since here, where it last sold for $27.99. At the peak in the last year, it sold for like $40. So if I'm selling an out of stock item, I typically think my best case could actually be the highest it's ever sold for in a year, and then I'll even try to tack on a couple bucks to add to that, okay? Because again, high demand item, you're the only one in stock, right? But again, the point of this is more to focus on the worst case. So if I buy it today, the absolute worst case in my mind would be right here. What is that? $22.49. And that's as the amount of sellers here is skyrocketing upwards, right? Now, I have every reason to believe if I've sold a product like this for out of stock, I'm thinking I'm gonna push $49.99 because it sold for 45-ish up here, right here at the very beginning of the year, right? But again, I wanna show you how we weigh worst case. If all hell breaks loose and something completely unforeseen happens, like maybe inventory all of a sudden hits 1 million retailers at once, I have reason to believe, a calculated decision, that $22.49 is the lowest I'll ever sell this for. And so if I'm willing to sell it at that price, then everything from there is gravy. That's really the gist of it. I just wanted to share with you how I weigh worst case scenario. I always weigh worst case scenario. I don't plan on worst case scenario unless I realistically think it's a possibility. And then I'm always weighing the ratio. Again, you know, your upside has to match the willingness of the downside. So if I can hit a home run product, make 200% ROI, I'm willing to risk losing 10 bucks a product. If my best ROI is 20%, I'm not willing to lose $20 on a product. There's just too much good inventory out there. So just wanted to share that with you, and you can basically do the opposite for best case scenario. But just because we happen to have it, again, that out of stock, for best case, I like to see what the highest it's ever sold for is. So if you ever come across an out of stock item, and then I try to set the record to be the new high. So appreciate you guys being here. I'm Jonathan, Duke Does Amazon. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.